Good evening, investors, and thanks for tuning into the forecast. I'm Jake Ackerman. This week in the markets, not a lot going on. Flat. That's usually a common occurrence before a holiday. Next week, probably the same thing. Not a lot of news going on. This week we did have retail sales and jobs, which were unfortunately a little bit higher than expected. And when I say unfortunately, I mean it's a good thing. But what the stock market is looking for right now is a continuation of a slowdown. They weren't really higher than expectations in a large number. They were slightly above expectations, which the market has been fading sideways and slightly down. It's probably due to those two data points. But the previous week, we did have an inflation report that was much better than expected, and that's why we've had this significant rally here these last few weeks. And now, again, next week, not a lot going on. The following week, we have another inflation report, and that will probably dictate where the market heads before this pivotal Fed meeting here, December 13th and December 14th, and we'll find out what they're going to do with the market. I mean, right now the market's expecting a 50 basis point hike, 0.5%, and then another 25 basis points in January, and then another 25 basis points in February, and then we'll see. And one thing I want to point out is the most hawkish member on the Federal Reserve Board, and that's James Bullard. He's been very tight with his monetary policy calls. So he's been right. You know, he's been ahead of the game. He's been someone who's been speaking up all through 2021 that we need to raise interest rates, which didn't take place, and that's why we're in this elevated inflationary environment. And he's been calling for continued rate hikes, just not as aggressively. And I think the market likes that. We have a lot of other federal members that are going to be taking over their positions, more dovish Federal Reserve members are going to be taking over in 2023. But again, the most hawkish member is looking for another percentage point going into the Fed funds rate. So again, 50 basis points in December, 25 in January, 25 in February, and that's priced into the markets right now. That's why we can continue to see upside in the equity markets, upside in the bond markets. There's a couple scenarios that could play out and throw a wrench in this plan, and that's always geopolitical. If Russia-Ukraine intensifies, China does something with Taiwan or does some sort of threat. But China's recovering from a really big downturn. So I think they're more focused on their current economy, their housing, their businesses. They're not looking to cause any problems. I mean, and that's a personal opinion and what we're kind of seeing and what their officials are saying. But, they play a lot of political games, so we'll see. We got through our election, so maybe things are a little bit peaceful there. Russia-Ukraine, if we see continued talks, I mean, it looks like Zelensky, the Ukrainian president, seems to be open for communications of kind of de-escalating, bringing the hostility down. Now, there was this missile incident, which I'm not really going to speak on because I don't know a lot about it. There's a lot of rumors floating around, so we'll see where that transpires. But as of right now, things are looking like they're de-escalating. And when they de-escalate, that's going to bring energy prices continuing down. We've seen a big drop in energy prices this week. So we'll look forward to seeing if energy prices continue to decline, that means inflation can continue to decline. Energy prices have such an effect on the overall inflationary burden on companies bringing in items for retail and food prices, all dictated somewhat by energy prices. So that's some positive developments, continued positive developments, and we won't be filming our market forecast next week due to Thanksgiving. I wish all of the family and friends a happy Thanksgiving. But we'll check back in the following week after that inflation report, and we'll have a lot to talk about. So wish everyone the best wishes, safe travels, and we'll tune in 2 weeks from now. And I'm Jake Ackerman with Ackerman Financial Group. Expertise you deserve and experience you can count on.